Hi everyone, this is Ravi. Welcome back to Katalon Studio Beginners Tutorial. So till now I have published around 15 YouTube videos covering different concepts of Katalon Automation Studio. So this is our lesson 16 where I'm going to cover some of the topics related to API automation. So I've already covered around 2 to 3 lessons on API automation, but this class is specific to data-driven testing. That means how can we automate API SOAP services, and then once you automate the API SOAP services, how can we perform data-driven testing by using different sets of data in Katalon Automation Studio. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon, you'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Thank you. Okay, so in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to add SOAP web service request in Katalon Studio and how can you create SOAP API test case by using Katalon, and then how can we create variables, and then how can we assign these variables in your automated test case, and then how can you run the test case by using these assigned variables with one set of data, okay, in Katalon. And then I'm going to teach you creation of our Excel sheet with multiple data sets, and then binding the Excel sheet to the Katalon Studio so that you can drive the test data with different data sets while running the automation script. Basically, you can perform data-driven testing with multiple data sets by using Katalon. Okay, so without delay, let's jump onto the system and see how can we perform all these activities by using Katalon. Okay, so this is my Katalon. So now let's perform API data-driven testing by using Katalon tool. Okay, so what is our, before I explain you how can we perform the activities, so I would recommend you guys to go through my previous sessions, okay, where I have explained you about API automation basic concepts. So if you see the lesson 9 and the lesson 10, right, and lesson 11, lesson 9, 10, 11, I would recommend you guys to go through these 3 lessons, okay, so that you can easily understand the concepts of data driven testing for API services. Okay, so now what is our first activity that we need to perform? First, you need to add SOAP web service request to Katalon, right? So how? So here, if you see in the Katalon, I can see object repository. Okay, so first you need to add SOAP service in the object repository. Okay, I already have a folder called SOAP service here. Okay, so let me add a SOAP service. How to add? Right click on the folder, click on new, and then click on web service request. Okay, and here name the web service request. Okay, what is the service that you would like to add? Okay, first get country currency. Okay, this is my operation. I'm going to create get country currency operation. And is it a RESTful service or SOAP? I'm going to use SOAP service. Okay, and what is the URL? That is WSDL URL just now I showed you. So this is the WSDL URL. Okay, I'm going to copy that WSDL URL and click on OK. As soon as you click on OK, what happens? It's gonna create get country currency, right? Get country currency service. Okay, here if you want to load all the operations that are available, all the functions, service functions that are available in this particular WSDL, click on load service function. What it will do, it's going to fetch all the operations that are available for this service. So these are all the service functions. You can see these many service functions that we have for this service. Okay, or these many operations that we have for this soap service. Okay, what is needed? For me, I need country currency. Okay, this is one service that I'm gonna use. Okay, let's select that country currency and then click on load new content. Currently, if you see the request, see if you see here, I explained you what are all the different options available for the SOAP services, right? Authorization, HTTP reader, request message, validation, variables. Okay, so in this session we are gonna concentrate on request message and the variables. Okay, for now. Okay, so here as soon as I click on new load new content, what it will do, it's gonna load your service endpoint and also the request message. Okay, it's going to load request sample message. Okay, this is my service endpoint and this is my request sample message. Okay, so now I want to get what it will do. What is the service? What is this service? What this service will do, if you enter any country code, then the service will respond. The service will respond with the currency for that particular country code. Okay, let's assume if I enter it as India IN. Okay, and then let's run this service. How can we run the service? I want to know the currency of in India, right? You need to just go here and then click on test request. So before I test request, I have to basically save the changes, and then hit run. I need to get the response with the currency. If you see here, I'm getting the response. What is the currency? The currency of India is rupees. Let's see what is the currency of US. The currency of US is dollars, right? Yeah, this is the dollars. And let's say what is the currency of Vietnam? Vien. Hit run. Yes, the currency is dong. Okay, so this is how you can import any particular operation from a service. So let me also do one thing. Let me copy this as it is. Copy this. I want to basically create another service and paste it here. And I want to rename this. Rename this as country capital. COUN country capital. Okay. Done. So this is my country capital. What does this do? Okay, I just clicked on that particular service. Now here I want to change here. Okay, let me just load it because I just copied the service, right? I need to load the service function again so that it fetches all the service functions. Okay, so I want to see the country capital, capital city, right? Select this and then load the new content. Just load the new content. It's going to load the content for capital city service. So basically capital city operation. Okay, so here first you need to provide a capital here. Let's provide a capital of India. Okay, and now let's execute this service. It should give me the capital of India as New Delhi. See, this is my capital. Let's change it to US and then again execute. Should give Washington as capital, right? Yeah, this is Washington. So that means our service is working successfully. Okay, so now let me go back to currency one more time. Okay, here instead of hard coding the country code, I would like to declare a variable. Okay, instead of hard coding, I would like to declare a variable. Okay, so what? So let's declare a variable. How do we declare a variable? I explained in my previous videos. Dollar and then curly braces. So let's define it as country code. Let's copy this country code And now you need to define the same variable. See, this is my variable. I need to define the same variable under the tab called variables. Currently we are in request message tab. Now go to variables tab here and then add a variable. Okay, let me save all these. Okay, let me first save. So now add a variable. Okay, one second. Let's send this message, save it. So now you're not going to get the response because the country code. Now we need to add the variables here. Okay, add a variable. Okay, give me a minute. So click on add variable, right? As soon as you click on add variable, you're gonna get a new variable. Okay, so here let me name this as capital, sorry, country, and string, let's default the value to IN. Okay, so here now if I run this message, if I run this again, now this country code variable should take the value from here. Okay, let me, something is wrong here. Okay, let me just delete this, COU entry country, name this to here. Okay, and save it. Let's save this. Okay, make a habit of saving. Request message. Now when I run this, it should take a variable whatever we took. Okay, let me go here, variables again, country, string, IN. Let's save this. Okay, so before I run this, right, let me run it again. Okay, it's still giving me error. Let's see what is the error that, oh sorry, we actually named this variable as country code, right? So let me change it to country code here instead of country. Okay, save this, done. Now it should work fine for us. Send the request. Now it should take, see, now the variable is successfully taking the value from variables tab. Okay, in the same way, let's do the same thing for our other service, which is country capital. Okay, so let me delete this, dollar country code, right? Let's go to variable, add a variable. Okay, let's wait. Sometimes what is happening, like my system is very slow. Yeah, variable country code string, here let me add Vietnam. Okay, save this, and now if I run this message, sorry, this request message, I should get the capital of Vietnam, right? It's a capital, correct? So the country capital, that's what we are running here, should give me the capital of Vietnam. Okay, I think it's running. Let me stop it again. Let me run this again. I think, yeah, we got it. See, the capital of, oh sorry, one second, capital of Vietnam. Let's run this. Yeah, see, the capital of Vietnam is Hanoi. Okay, this is what we got. Okay, so now let's create the test case. So what is our next step? I created a SOAP API test case, and then I created the variable, sorry, I created a service. Now I need to create a SOAP UI API test case, right? How can we create? There are two ways. One is either you can directly create from request itself, okay, or you can directly create from the test case. Okay, let me create a new test case here. Test case API data driven test. Okay, API data driven test, that is my test case name. Click OK. Done. Now let's add the test cases. Okay, add web service keyword. Add web service keyword. Here I'm going to send a request. What is the request that you want to send? First, I want to perform country currency. Okay, let's drag and drop here. Done. And then again add another web service. Now I want to send country capital request. Drag and drop here. Okay, so now let's save this. Okay, and here if you go to script mode, this is what we have. If you go to variables, we have empty, correct? But now here I need to define the variables here. First of all, I need to define variables. Okay, how? Let's go to variables. Let's define the variables. My first variable is country code. I'm defining variables now at test case level. Country code, let's take it as India. Add another one, sorry, add another one which is capital, New Delhi. See, first I'm going to perform the testing by using variables. Okay, variables and value. Later we'll be converting this script to data driven. Okay, and then add another one, capital currency. So I'm going to name it as currency 1. Okay, to avoid the confusion. Currency 1. What is the currency of India? It's rupees. Okay, let's save this to send. So let's go here again. What are all the values that I need to send? Variables, right? What variables do I need to send? Let's save this again. Okay, let's save this. Okay, if you see here, I have one country code already defined in this service, right? So if I go to script mode, I need to, so if you see, let me just again double click here. For this we have a country code of Vietnam. Let's go to script mode. Yeah, so now if you see what I am doing here, in the manual mode I am sending a request of one particular service which is country currency with the which has the variable which has the variable as country currency code with India, correct? That's what we did in the service. Now here, instead of specifying at India, I want to define a variable that we created here. I want to define a variable. What is this variable? Country code, correct? So let's go to scripting. Here, instead of India, I want to replace this with country code, CONTRY. So if you see here, country code and control space, you will get the, country code. This is actually recognizing the variable here. If you see here, this is the country code variable that we already defined, right? That's what it is recognizing. Here also, let me rename this. Let me with the country code here also. Instead of hard coding the value, I want to put country code. Okay, save it. So now if I run these requests, right? If I run these requests, I need to get a response with the country code that I defined. Okay, let's run this. Sorry, one second. Let me open this. Okay, so before running, so we defined country code, and now, and also I want to do one thing. Okay, here I would like to verify. See, once I send the request, right? Once I send the request, I want to verify if I send the request as it is. This one, country code. Let me make sure everything is correct. country code. Okay, variable. This is the variable, right? Okay, now I want to basically capture a response also and validate if I get the response correctly or not. If I go to country capital service again, right? I explained you this in my previous videos, how to use snippets that are available in Katalon. Okay. For that, if you go to verification tab, see, I'm in country capital and country currency. Okay. Let's go to country currency. What is our first test case? Our first test case is country currency, correct? So let's go to country currency. And here, if you go to verification, right, there are snippets. See, you need to place what value do I need to verify? I want to verify the response if the country currency is correct or not. Okay. You need to place your cursor in the same tag node, basically in the corresponding node, and then control K. Control K. As soon as you hit control K, if you see here, I can see the right side, I can see one line has been introduced here. See, this is the line. Sorry, this is the line, correct? So copy this line. I'm going to copy this line and go to your test case and go to script mode. Here I want to insert that line here. Okay. In the same way for country capital, right? Let's go to country capital. Okay. Here also I want to verify what is the capital that is returned, right? Place your cursor here on the same node and hit Control K. So as soon as you hit Control K, you'll be redirected to verification and corresponding code will be pasted here automatically. See, this is the verification code snippet. Copy this and go to again your test case and then paste it. Okay, let me save this. But here, if you see, we have hard coded the values here also. What values? The verification values. If you see here, the verification, what we are doing is, this is rupees and this is Hanoi, correct? Instead of rupees, what are the variables that we defined earlier? Currency. This is one variable. I want to replace that rupees with currency. Done. And now, instead of Hanoi, I want to replace with the capital. Copy and then capital and save it. Done. So that means what we did, if you go to event manual script, you can see everything here. See, double click here, verify element. I'm verifying. And one more thing we forgot here is, what we forgot, we have to name these the response, right? I want to name this as, instead of response, I want to name this as response 1 and response 2. Okay, let's make this as response 1 and this is my response 2. Okay, save this. Let's go here, response 1 and response 2. Okay, so what we are doing, we are actually here, I'm storing the response into a variable. I'm storing the response into a variable. Okay, first of all, we forgot to define the variables here. Let's see here. If you see the variable you need to define here, right? Let's define the variable response 1, because the request we are sending here and output I am storing in variable called response 1. And again for the second request I'm storing in response 2, correct? And the same variable I am using here. Let's go to script mode. If you see here, the request I am storing in response 1 and now I'm verifying the response 1 that corresponding node has a required currency or not, correct? Again response 2 and then I'm verifying the response to variable. I'm storing the response into variable called response 2 and then I'm verifying the text. What text? Only this particular node text. What is the text?
what is the result in this node. Okay, that is what here. If you see here, this is your node, capital city response dot capital city result. Okay, I already explained you in my previous sessions how this is what called a JSON path. Okay, here I'm specifying the JSON path. If you go back here, this is your JSON path for my capital, that node. This is my JSON path for my currency. Correct, that's the node. Okay, so you can refer to my previous videos. Okay, so this is done. So now let's save this. So now if I run this test, okay, let me run the test here now. Let's go to manual. Okay, so now it is running the test. Okay, so when I'm running this, now this time it's going to take the variables from the variable that we defined in the test case. Okay, not in the services. So let's see now. So it's got response done. So if you see, if I go to test results, let's expand this. Okay, first I sent a request. What are all the variables that it took? India, New Delhi, rupees. Correct. I sent a request of this and it verified it. What is my first request is? My first request is what is the country currency? I sent as India. I got the response as rupees, and that is correct. And then I sent again as India as country, and then I got a capital as New Delhi. That is correct, right? So here what we did, we are actually testing two services and we are validating the responses are correct or not. But we are testing with the only one set of variables, only one set of variables, correct? So if you see here, we have done created the variables in test case, bind the variables in the test case, we binded these variables in the test case, and then we ran the test case by using one data set. Now what if I want to run the same test case multiple times with different data sets? So that is where our data files need to be created. That is where we will be creating data files. Okay, so if you see here, I already created a test data. Let me name this as test data. Okay, let me copy this. Okay, let me copy this and paste it. Let's name this as test data 2 sheet. Nothing, it's simple that I created one test data sheet where I provided all these variables in the Excel sheet. What are all the variables? Country code, capital, currency. What is the country code? I'm taking now different sets. I want to test what is the capital city of India, what is the capital city of US, and what is the capital city of Vietnam. And then what is the currency of India, currency of US, currency of Vietnam. Okay, and then I want to verify all the responses that I received from the services. For India it should return this, for India it should return rupees, for US it should return Washington capital and currency dollars. Okay, so I basically provided different data sets. Okay, so now let's go here. Let me go to Katalon, and here I need to create a new data file. Okay, right click. See, these are all different modules available. Okay, I explained in my previous videos. Okay, in the basic videos, earlier videos. Okay, go to data files, right click, click on new, and click on test data and name this as test data 2. Okay, click OK, and here you need to browse your Excel sheet. Browse and select the Excel sheet that we created just now, test data 2. Open, and if you see here, it imported all the columns, and you need to select use first row as header, right? My first row is not a data, it's a header. Select this and save this. So that is done. Now we need to go back to your test case. Okay, here I have to create. Okay, so that's fine. So I imported your I imported the test data. Now let's create a test suite. I need to create a test suite. Go to there is another module called test suite. Right click on new test suite, API data driven suite. Okay, click OK. And here in this suite, I need to add the test case that just now we automated. Okay, how? Click on add, take the test case just now we added, API data driven test. That's what we automated, correct? If you remember, correct? This is the one we automated. Let's go back here. This one, API data driven test. Okay, let's go here, add, check this test case that we created, click on OK. And here now we have to perform data binding. That means you need to bind the Excel sheet to your test suite. Okay, you need to bind Excel sheet to your test suite. How? Go to show data binding, and here if you see here, because I imported the test case that we created here, correct, and all the variables we already defined. If you go to test suite, as soon as I import, all those variables are imported automatically. Okay, that's good. Now we need to bind the Excel sheet as I told. How? Here under test data, click on add and select the test data just now we added under data files. If you see here at the bottom, correct, under data files we added test data 2. Select the test data 2, click OK. And now here, instead of values here, right, instead of default values, I need to replace with data columns. Click here. Okay, I need to replace with data columns. What? How? Here, see this, leave about this is a default value, but now I'm going to set this binding, whatever this binding, to this data set, test data sheet. Okay, how? Go to type, click on data column. In the same way here also, go to type, instead of default, change it to data column. Here instead of default, change it to data column. As soon as you change it to data column, here you get test data. What is the test data? Double click here. The test data is from this test data file. You need to select the test data file for each column. I'm referring to the Excel sheet that I imported under data files. Correct? Data files. Done. Now save this. Now if you see here, the last column that what we have here, the value. What is the value? If you expand this, it is showing me all the columns that are available in Excel sheet. What is this? This is my country code. Select that. And then this is my capital. Select capital. And this is my currency, right? So it is showing me the columns that are available in the Excel sheet. I'm just mapping that. I mapped the Excel sheet and then the column that I mapped here. Okay. And one more thing is, so that's it. So we performed binding of an Excel sheet to test suite, right? Variable binding we did, and then we added a test data file also here. And here, do you want to run all the test cases that are available? Do you want to run the test case for all the test data sets that is available here in the Excel sheet? Yes, I want to run the test case for all the test data sets here. Okay. Or if you want to limit, you can limit. How? Here you can just select run all rows or run from row 1 to row 2. You can specify specific rows, right? You can do that. But now I want to run all. Okay. So save this. So we are done with your data binding. So how you can hide the data binding now again, or you can click on show data binding. Okay. Keep the data binding as it is. We'll see. Now let's run this particular test suite. Okay. Now when I run the test case, it ran only one time for one data set. Now when I run this test suite, it should run 3 times. Okay, let's click run. So it started running. Let me expand the log here. See, it's running, it started running. My first data set is India, New Delhi rupees. That means we are sending India. I'm capturing New Delhi, done. And then again, second data set is done. And again, third data set is done. So run complete. It's uploading the report. So if we expand this, my first test case executed with IN New Delhi rupees. What is my second test case? US Washington dollars. What is my third test case? Vietnam Hanoi dong. So whatever we defined in the Excel sheet, the same variables has been taken. So that means the test case executed 3 different times with 3 different data sets. Okay, so hope you all understand how can you perform data driven testing while automating your API SOAP services. So this is applicable for REST services also. The logic will remain same. Nothing is going to change. Okay.
Hope you all understand the concepts of API data-driven testing. How can you automate the API SOAP UI services by using Katalon, and then how can you perform data-driven testing by using different sets of data. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon. You'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Thank you.